Ole, for this unofficial start of summer, we've decided to do our regular show here instead of just on patreon.com/Light On Conspiracies and patreon.com/crowdsource the truth. We've got it going out for everyone on YouTube and Periscope and VK.com and Facebook. How are you today, Ole? It's wonderful to see you as always, and we've got a fantastic new guest.
We do indeed. I'm doing great, and it's wonderful to welcome Sarah Mantep with us today.
Hello, Sarah.
Thank you so much.
You guys both have this wonderful soft look in the background. It really, that's fantastic. Now,
I said it would be better with a soft one on the face.
No, I think everybody enjoys seeing you. And Sarah, you, despite being the mother of 3 teenagers, you look like you're about 20. You are an expert in alternative health and detox, and why don't you give us a little bit of background on you and the fantastic company that you've created?
Oh, thank you, Jason. So I'm 43 years old, and yes, I've got a 14-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 16-year-old. And they've definitely kept me busy. They are the inspiration of my business. I was not looking to go into business. Going back to college days, I went to Stanford, econ degree in psychology. Thought I was going to go into finance and just do the normal thing, have some babies and be a stay-at-home mom. And everything was going to go according to plan, which it never happened. So along the way, had a lot of health issues myself. And as I did, I had no luck with Western medicine, and they put tubes up me, around me, down me. I had a chronic, I had IBS issues and hormonal issues and heavy metals, a lot of things going on in my body. You name it, I had it. Mm-hmm. So as we went along, had my kids, and those pregnancies really took it out of me. And as the third one came, I really hit rock bottom. And so with no luck with Western medicine, I went to an alternative practitioner and worked with him in a machine called the SCIO machine. And the SCIO was, it scans your body for 10,000 items. So it can tell you where your minerals and your vitamins are, down to where your gallbladder and liver are functioning, and even into your emotional state. And if something bad happened to you yesterday or 10 years ago, which was crazy to me at the time, not knowing much about health at the time. And we just peeled my health like an onion, took one layer off, and more issues would show up, but then we'd attack those at the same time.
Now, let me pause you for just a second, Sarah, because I've never heard of this SCIO machine. What is that exactly?
It is it's a PEMF type machine, and like I said, you're hooked up to a computer. And at the time, there weren't many around the country, and now there's quite a few practitioners with them. So I believe if people wanted to find them, they could find them. And you put a strap around your head and around your 2 ankles and your wrists, and it just, through vibration or through frequency, it's a biofeedback. So it's telling you what's going on in your body. And I've never been exposed to a machine that is more diagnostic, as far as very specific. I mean, the things that it came up with were phenomenal. I mean, there was one day where he said, "Oh, so it looks like you had a little squabble with your husband this morning, but looks like you're handling it well." Wow. Because he could tell with my stress level, but that there, some emotional stuff going on, and he had it right. I mean, it was a stupid argument, but something that, triggered me a little bit. And, it was very helpful with my hormones. My hormones had always been off. That was one of the issues, and no doctor could tell me what was going on. And I was told that I had PCOS, which at the time, no one really knew what the cause was. But now looking back on it and what I know, it's definitely linked to insulin resistance, which is something that we put together. So
polycystic ovary syndrome?
Yes. So it's typically characterized by obesity and high testosterone. So
doesn't look like you have either of those things.
Well, so that was the thing, is doctors would look at me and say, well, I don't understand. And, oh, this is, they would give me no real reason, because I was always wanting to get to the root of the problem.
Right.
Western medicine wants to treat the symptoms. They treat one symptom and then it's a chain reaction. So with that, a long road ahead, I fixed my insulin resistance and the PCOS goes away. So that was just one example. The heavy metals, I had to go through a chelation process where my heavy metals had to come out that way instead of just through supplementation.
Now, when you say heavy metals, this is really interesting to me, because I learned that I was mercury toxic in 2014, and I think a lot of people don't know about this. When I went to my regular NYU doctor and asked him during a checkup to test me for mercury, he looked at me like I had asked for a pregnancy test. He said, in 25 years as a doctor, I've never checked anybody for mercury. And I said, well, check it. And he called me 4 days later and I was off the chart, 29 nanograms per microliter or whatever the measure is. So how did you determine you were mercury or heavy metal toxic? How did you chelate the heavy metals?
So this is an interesting side story, is that the Skio machine showed mercury and lead and aluminum very high, but he wanted to make sure through a urine test. And so you collect urine through over a 24-hour time period, and you send the urine off to a lab and you get it back and you get your results. I was off the charts in those three: lead, mercury, and aluminum. And all of them can make you crazy, can make your brain just, right? So then I went to a facility that they give you an IV and they just chelate the metals out of your body.
That can be very damaging to your kidneys. That's pharmaceutical chelation that you did.
Right.
And so how did that make you feel?
It definitely, I noticed a difference with my kidneys. But what we did with the Skio machine was combat that and make sure I was detoxing my kidneys at the same time. So it was definitely, you had to be careful. The interesting thing is what most people don't know, is that if you were to test yourself in the middle of the chelation, which I did, I think about a month in, my levels were higher. Because you're pulling all of the metals out of the tissues and into the blood, and the test is going to show a higher number. So we did that, and then the biggest turning point for me was when my son was 9 years old, and he was a healthy kid up until then, did well in school, loved sports, all that. Did not want to go to school. He looked pale. He looked kind of yellow. It wasn't the flu. It wasn't the cold. So we hooked him up to the Skio machine, and leukemia came up. And it was probably the worst day of my life. I hear my
How old was he, did you say?
Huh?
How old was your son at the time of the diagnosis?
9 years old, so third grade.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. It was, I mean, here he is, a brand new kid. They're not supposed to have cancer.
No.
So we put him on what's now the accelerated silver, my number one supplement, that is known to kill viruses, bacteria, fungus, parasites, and I'm not allowed to use the C word. But
You're talking about colloidal.
The C word, that is a different C word. You cannot say that a nutraceutical product is a cure. You can't come right out by the FDA. You can't come right out and say that it's a cure, but these are alternative products that you recommend for people that will hopefully balance their health and prevent things like this.
Yes, and so what it does is it cleans the body out, boosts the immune system, and it's not a colloidal silver, so I'm glad you brought that up. It takes colloidal silver and puts it on steroids, essentially, with its efficacy. What it has is the ability to get through the gut. If you look at most dietary supplements, A lot of them can't, you'll take them in and they get destroyed in the stomach by the stomach acid. So if you were to go to the doctor, for instance, and you got bit by a poisonous snake in the arm, they will give you an IV of antibiotics. They will not give you oral antibiotics because otherwise you'd lose your arm probably. So you want to get to the source of where the infection is. And that's the same as most silvers, most colloidal silvers can't get through the gut. Well, mine can. And so it can go through the whole system and get to the source of the issue. The other thing that is amazing about it is that we have now have applied vibrational frequency on it where it has enhanced the healing properties of the silver, and it's more efficient and much more it strengthens the balances in the body essentially.
And we should mention your website is acceleratedhealthproducts.com. You've been kind enough to share a discount code with us today, and I'll put that into the comments here so that anybody watching right now who's interested in your products can go there and enjoy a 15% discount.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. So with my son Jackson, we put him on the accelerated silver for a year, and I saw him coming back to life and got him retested again a year later. And this was we didn't just do it with a skio machine. We actually did live blood cell where you put the blood underneath a microscope and you could see the cancer cells. Whoa. And you could see the anemia and other nutritional deficiencies. His blood was very dirty. There were parasites, a whole bunch of stuff going on.
Parasites in his blood?
Yep, in his blood. Wow. I used to have the blood videos on my website. No longer is it allowed. So
really?
Unfortunately.
Why is it not allowed? Who disallowed it?
The FDA would not look upon that in a good light. So I want to make sure that I keep things as clean as possible so that I can continue helping as many people as possible. So with that, a year later, we had another live blood cell test done, and not only were the cancer cells gone, but his nutritional deficiencies and anemia were all gone, and the blood just looked beautiful, and I had tears of joy. And my son looked at me and goes, "Mom, why are you crying?" I said, "I'm happy." He goes, "Well, you were gonna fix me. I had no question you were gonna fix me." So at that point, I thought, God, there's so many moms out there with the sign of a cold, they put their kids on antibiotics or steroids, and this stuff works. It keeps you healthy. It keeps you from getting the cold or the flu. It cleans things out, infections. Normally when someone says, well, will it work for this? Will it work for that? The answer is yes. And I can't claim that accelerated silver does a lot of things that it can do. But what I do recommend people doing is searching what colloidal silver has done all over history. Back in the times of ancient times and Hippocrates, it's been around forever. So you take all of those benefits and you just, know that accelerated silver is going to do it in a much more efficient way. You're going to, you've got an amazing supplement and no side effects. So you give it to a baby and they drink the whole bottle by mistake and it's totally safe. Tastes like water.
Mm-hmm. We hear so many health gurus talking about diet and exercise. Detox is so often not even addressed. And as you say, doctors want to give you a pill to cure whatever without any regard for how that's going to affect all these other systems. So this is a very holistic approach to health. Your son was 9 at the time of this leukemia diagnosis, and how old is he now?
He's 16 and a half, and as we speak right now, he is at the Olympic training facility in San Diego training for nationals.
Oh my God.
In rowing. So he's not going to the Olympics, but he's going to nationals for crew as a sophomore.
But 7 years cancer-free.
Yep, and not only cancer-free, but he has not had the common cold. He has not missed a day of school, no antibiotics, no nothing. In fact, he texted me yesterday morning and he said, "Mom, I'm the team doctor. Everyone's asking for some silver because no one wants to get sick before nationals in a week and a half. So
Wow.
he's rubbing off on everyone, and he's very good with all the other supplements too, and detoxing. I know you have also with Chem Trails and 5G, and here we have a whole nother big mountain to climb in our society, and that's something that I've really started looking into more. And detoxing is so important for it's not just through food and diet, but you really do need to be active in your detox. And there were a few other supplements that I wanted to mention or ways that people can detox, and one is iodine. And I don't know how much you have read into iodine, but with the Chem Trails and what they can do to you, and how they have the poisons in them and the toxins in them, including diethylbromine and radioactive iodine. We are needing, if our bodies don't have the right amount of iodine, which 96% of the people in the US are deficient in iodine, 96%. So even the healthy of the healthy are deficient in iodine.
We do have to tell everybody that you're not a medical doctor. This is not medical advice. These are supplements that you've used and you have personally experienced a good result. That doesn't mean necessarily that somebody else will, but
absolutely,
they're organic products, and you're just sharing some anecdotal information about you and your family's experience with them.
Absolutely. And I noticed a big difference when I started the iodine. With if your body is deficient in iodine, what happens is toxins like fluoride, bromine, and chloride that we are bombarded with go into those receptor sites in the body where the iodine's supposed to go. And a lot of those receptor sites are in your thyroid, which most people know, but they're also in your breast tissue and in your heart and in your brain. And so if you are not sufficient with iodine, those receptor sites are getting clogged by the fluoride and the bromine and the chloride and these other toxins that are coming out of the chemtrails or just in the pesticides or vaccinations, wherever they're coming from, they are clogging those receptor sites. When that happens, there's been an increase in cancer and diabetes and depression. It really affects every element in the body, the heart even, the autonomic nervous system. So as you are getting more and more iodine in the body, everything is functioning properly. For one instance, the pineal gland in your brain, it is where fluoride calcifies. So if you start taking more iodine, you're going to start releasing that calcification and start feeding the pineal gland, its proper nutrients so it can actually function, so you don't have that dumbed down feeling.
And it's important also to mention, I'm sorry to interrupt, Sarah, but there's really very little scientific knowledge of the function and capability of this pineal gland. A lot of people think we've heard many times that we, as modern humans, and certainly here in the United States, we're using only something like 10% of our brains. Many people, it's an even lower number, but that pineal gland and its function could be capable of certain intuition and certain things that people get these feelings that we don't fully understand. It's always occurred to me, I don't know if I've shared this story with you, Ole. I went to the South by Southwest Film and Technology Festival a couple of years ago, and IBM had this installation where you put on like a little cap kind of a thing, and it could sense the signals in your brain, and you were playing a video game, driving a little car through a maze with no controller whatsoever, just your brain, and the electric impulses generated by your thoughts were transmitted to this computer to control the car. It was astounding. So of course, if signals in your brain can be detected as radio waves or electrical impulses, it certainly stands to reason that powerful radio waves or electromagnetic frequencies outside of our heads projected at us would have some impact on what's going on in the brain.
And I also would like to add, Cody Snodgrass, the CIA whistleblower, who has an immense knowledge in so many different areas. What he was saying about the pineal gland is that what I also find is that it's like the antenna to the matrix, to the divine university, whatever. And that one of the main reasons for Chem Trails is to calcify it so that we will lose the connection to the bigger picture, whatever you want to call it. So that is critical. They want to shut us down so that we don't understand how powerful we are. And so this decalcification is super, super important for so many different levels of us as beings.
Now, Sarah, I've heard that going through the millimeter wave scanning machines at the airport somehow interacts with this. Oh, did we lose Sarah?
Oh,
she's back.
sorry.
Okay.
I'm
It
here.
somehow interacts with this aerosolized aluminum, and the machine is doing something else. I always opt out of that crazy scanning machine at the airport.
Yeah, I I do too, and my family kills me every time I do it because I always make them wait for me. And I always have to make sure I'm wearing something appropriate to be patted down, and yes, it's always a fun experience. But you are so right. They are trying to dumb us down. And if you've noticed, I mean, even people that don't know anything about health will just kind of talk to me about, God, I just feel like my head's in the clouds. I just don't feel motivated. My brain isn't working. And, if I was to sit there and say, well, they're spraying us with chemtrails, most people, even my own brother the other day said, well, that sounds like a conspiracy. I said, well,
Right.
okay. So I'm not even going to talk to you about this.
Well, the irony is it's obviously a conspiracy because it can't be just one person who's running all these planes. There's a bunch of people who know about it and are conspiring to make it happen. But like so many people, I think your brother transposes the word conspiracy to mean false, which it doesn't.
Right. Exactly. And we live in Southern California where I've got checkerboards above me in the air. It's so bad.
Yeah.
And there are days where with all the stuff I do, I mean, not just the supplements, but I do foot baths, infrared sauna. I have another machine called the Amp Coil, which is amazing. An in-home machine that people can get. And if they want to contact me on how to, more information on that, I'm happy to share. But I'm doing all of this stuff, and there will be days where I just feel like my head's in the clouds, or I've got headaches. My daughter will come home from school and she'll have a headache, and she's doing everything right. And we're having the headaches on the same day. So it's not just something internal, it's something that is coming from above us or around us.
Yeah.
So it's very scary. And that's where the silver and the iodine are super important. And you have to be careful with what iodine you use. That was one thing I wanted to talk about, was most iodines are diatomic, which means that the body has to break apart the two atoms and use it in an efficient way. Well, if you already have a low immune system, that's going to be hard for your body to do. The acceleridine, which is what I have, is a monoatomic iodine, meaning one atom, and it's 100% bioavailable. The other amazing thing about it is it has true scalar charge. So it is charged with scalar energy. And this is the most balanced, highest frequency type of energy. It's actually the kind of energy that the Skio machine uses. So when you put that scalar charge into it, it helps fight the radiation exposure in addition to doing what iodine does. So it's fighting the radiation through giving your body enough iodine, but then it's also fighting the radiation by having anecdotal type frequencies put in there against radiation.
Right.
So,
Sarah, could you spell the name of this machine, the SCIO machine?
yes, it's SCIO is the SCIO machine.
Okay.
And then the amp coil, I'll touch on that real quick. So if the SCIO machine is very expensive, and it's not something that someone is going to just go out and buy, but they could go use. The amp coil is a much more moderately priced machine, and it doesn't diagnose you as specifically as the SCIO machine does. But what it does do is it will say, oh, you've been hit by biological warfare, or exposed to EMFs, or your nutritional imbalances are this, or your organs, these are the ones that need extra attention, like your liver or gallbladder. And then it has a whole list of viruses and candida and parasites and things that will come up on your scan, because you speak into a tablet, and it will, through your voice and through Tesla technology, you are, it's not diagnosing you, I can't use that word, but it is finding your imbalances. And then what it'll do is it'll set you up with a treatment or a journey, quote unquote, which will help heal those imbalances in your body. So for instance, this is kind of crazy, is that this rare skin rash started happening on me and then my friend that lives a block away, and we both came up with the same issue on the machine. And I know it is something in our air or something that we were sprayed with, because it was definitely not a normal thing. But through a couple sessions, it's gone. And then also with like my son's team, he had one of his teammates was sick with a cold, and he couldn't get sick. So he came over and he was put on the machine for I think he did 2 or 3 treatments. He's back in the boat within a day instead of, a week of being out and sick. So it's a great machine. It's a PEMF machine, just like the SCIO. But like I said, it's not as specific in diagnosing you as the SCIO is, but it's stronger than the SCIO at treating you or helping with the imbalances in the body. Does that make sense?
Sarah, you mentioned that it's Tesla technology. We've got viewers who are with us in the chat. We're doing, obviously today, a special version of Light On Conspiracies with Ole Dammegard. The show normally appears on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern on patreon.com/lightonconspiracies, patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, and subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth. But today, because it is the first official day of summer, happy Memorial Day to everybody, we're doing the show on YouTube and Periscope and Facebook and VK.com and DLive and all the platforms that we use, so that people can get an idea of the types of topics that Ole and I discuss with a variety of international guests that we bring in each week. So I hope that people will go to Patreon and Subscribestar and become sponsors of the show so they can enjoy this every week. But Sarah, we've got a lot of viewers with us today. We've got about 400 people watching, and they're telling me, first of all, that the discount code that you've given us isn't working on the website, so we'll straighten that out maybe after the conversation. But someone else mentioned Nikola Tesla. What does he have to do with this, and what is the technology specifically that comes from Tesla?
That's a question I don't know if I can give you a full answer on. It essentially, it's an amp coil. So it's a coil, and because it's amplified, that is where you're getting the stronger treatment from it. it's hooked up to the PEMF machine, and it's also hooked up to a tablet. So the tablet is where you put in your voice. So you speak into the tablet, and through your voice, it is recognizing different frequencies. And with the different frequencies, that's going to show your weaknesses or imbalances in your body.
Wow.
It's very strange. I mean, you essentially say the alphabet into it. And I've learned watching other people do it, I can tell when it's going to show up that their heart's not well or their lungs aren't well. And you start hearing cracks in people's voices as they're doing it, or strength in their voices, and they're more healthy than they've been in the past. Or it's very interesting in how it does it, and it's right on. I mean, the first time I did it, I had already known that I was fighting a parasite because it had been diagnosed by the SCIO machine, and the first time I did it, I was doing it with someone that had no idea I was fighting a parasite, and the number one thing that came up was parasite. So I thought, this thing really knows what it's doing. And then when it talks about when it hits your liver or even your emotional state. So there's been times when my daughter will have her stomach hurt or just not feel well, and she's in 8th grade in junior high, which is not a fun time for girls. And I'm thinking, well, is she fighting a bug, or is there something going on with her stomach? Well, it will show up that it's emotional or mental based, so it's more wrapped into her head, and let's put her on a program that just relaxes her or can create more positivity. There's some programs that are just general feel-good programs. There's a great program for sleep. If you're having a hard time sleep, you put yourself on this and you're knocked out into a deep, deep sleep.
Now, there's a few people giving us messages here, Sarah. They're trying to buy some of the products and they're running into some technical problems on the website. So we can take a little look at that.
I will definitely look at the coupon code. If it's not working, I will have it working by this afternoon.
Okay, and that coupon code is just Light On Conspiracies 15. You're going to get a 15% discount when you purchase any of these detox and wellness products or any of the products that Sarah has got on acceleratedhealthproducts.com. Sarah's not paying us to be here. This is not an advertisement for Sarah. She is sharing information that Ole and I find interesting and important, and people are welcome to try these products if they're interested in them. Sarah, for some of our more traditionally minded viewers, some of this stuff is going to sound a bit like hocus pocus, a machine that you talk to and tells you that your liver has a problem. Has there been any... what I'm always very interested in is when we find people who are traditionally trained MDs, medical doctors in practice in the United States, who also embrace these alternative health remedies. And because I think there's benefit in both, and that there are extremes in both, and that people need to find the best solutions for themselves. And why would you not look at something that's given somebody else a result?
I totally agree. In my own family, I've got a mom that will listen to me with whatever I tell her to do. And then I've got a dad
who will not listen.
I think we all have that. Some version of that.
Yeah, and my dad only listens to you if you're wearing a white coat. And
right.
Yeah. So, I've really learned over the years to pray for the people that want me and need me to hear me, and those that don't to not be bothered by me and not come my way. Just because I don't want to push anything on anyone that is not open or wanting to heal themselves. And I can't heal you. You've got to heal yourself. I can only provide what I know. I don't know everything. I'm not a doctor. I just know what has worked for me and my family, and and my close friends and my clients. And I always ask for feedback from my clients.
Let me pause you for 1 second because I think I figured something out. So I was copying and pasting from an email that Sarah had sent. It looks like there was a typo in the discount code. There was an I missing at the end of it. So it's Light On Conspiracies 15. I've just put that into the comments, and people can try that. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Sarah. Please carry on.
Sarah, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Because for one thing, my dad died because he was listening to one of these white coats instead of listening to other. But that was his choice. I mean, what can you do? It's everyone's their own life. But Cody Snodgrass and I have been planning on helping the Apache Nation in the San Carlos reservation, because there's been they found a whole almost like a football field big area where they buried Agent Orange in big oil drums. Wow. I mean, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. They have no idea, and they're leaking out this crap. So they got all kinds of weird things, even babies being born with all kinds of damage. Yeah, it's awful. And so what Cody and I have been talking about is trying to raise money to get what is called an ion cleanser to get down there. And because Cody says that he's been helping people, veterans that have been exposed to Agent Orange, and that through ion cleanser that it has had a positive effect. Is this something you know anything about, or could you recommend something else?
I don't know anything about that, but I can tell you that the Nuke No More, which is also on my website. It's called NUCNOMORE. It's also a scalar enhanced product, which it has tissue regeneration and healing frequencies, and it has antidotal frequencies for nuclear fallout and smog of hundreds of radioactive isotopes and general radiation, from ionizing X-rays and commercial flying to the nuclear power plants and radiation from smart meters and cell phones and electro pollution. The amazing thing about this supplement that no other supplement has been shown to do is it will zero you out of all the radiation in your body within 1 to 2 bottles of it.
Wow.
And then you stay at zero for at least 2 years. So they did a study of 32 random subjects who were extremely radio contaminated. And they were 31 of them were zeroed out within 21 days. I think the last person was 39 days. So at the very most, it took 39 days to zero this person out, and it held for 2 years. And they were continued to be exposed to radiation. So with the Nuke No More clearing out the radiation, and then you taking the acceleridine to make sure you're saturated with the proper amounts of iodine, you are pretty much keeping all of those toxins out and protecting yourself. And this, like I said, with the 5G and the Chem Trails, this is my number one focus at the moment. I mean, we were thinking about moving, but we have to come up with other solutions, because 5G is going to be everywhere, unless something happens. But the way the Nuke No More works, it's not based on homeopathy, but it's actually coincidentally based on Tesla technology, and it communicates wirelessly throughout the whole body. So intracellular, from inside the cell to inside the cell. And we don't know why, or I don't know why it keeps you zeroed out after you stop taking it, but it's just it does, and that's what it's been shown to do. So that's why on my website I put together the thyroid radiation detox bundle, which is the silver, the Nuke No More, and acceleridine. So you're really cleaning out your body, detoxing it, and supporting it. Now, what I recommend too, along with that, is it's on my website, the Ancient Salt, which is a radiation-free detoxification salt. It's from the Himalayas and the Andes Mountains. And you can use just regular Himalayan salt, but this is radiation free and scalar charged. It tastes amazing. So you just use it on your food. You can actually put a little bit in a detox bath if you want to do that. But that's something that goes along with this program if you wanted to add that in. But through those, that's kind of the same type of thing what you're talking about, but it's something that's a little more manageable and with taking the supplement. Go ahead.
Well, how did you develop all of these products? It sounds, they sound complicated.
They are, and what's amazing is I did not have to develop them. Oh. So I found them, and I found people that I just have always wanted to be on the forefront of the technology and the supplements that are coming out. And I think once I have been on the radar with my silver, people found me. That I just they knew that I needed to have these things, and they go along with what I promote and what I use. And believe me, I've spent thousands of dollars on wasted supplements, knowing things that don't work. And I just have really been passionate, and I think people have come to me knowing that my heart is in the right place, that I'm really just wanting to help people and to heal the planet. And it's more of a global goal of mine versus just business and selling product.
Right. And how long ago did you create Accelerated Health Products, Sarah?
It was 2013. And before that, I was selling the silver just out of my house, a case at a time, just to friends and family. And then I got into liquid biocell collagen. That's an amazing product on my website as well. And then a couple more things started happening, and I thought, you know what, I really need to create a business around this. And it wasn't just a hobby anymore. And I had a lot of naysayers around me. For instance, people that need to see a white coat. And I really felt like with my son's situation, and I didn't even go into my two daughters, they've had health issues as well, and we've corrected them. And through all of that, and right now at the age of 43, I feel better than I did in high school. Right. I feel better than I did in college, and I know that there's things that need to go out and be out there, and people just don't know. And these are easy things, and there's no side effects to anything. So everything that I promote, it's all healthy, it's all immune boosting, it's all cumulative as far as getting you to your next level. And once you detox, once you give your body the foundation nutritionally, then you can mentally be your best. And when you're mentally your best, you're giving back to the world. Your frequency's higher. You open up your pineal gland and you start doing more of the more important work instead of just being in a fog and doing, the day's work just like you did yesterday.
Right.
So I look at it as a journey.
A lot of what Ole and I discuss on Light On Conspiracies every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern on patreon.com/lightonconspiracies and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Most of the conversations have to do with the military industrial complex. But what we're really seeing now, particularly with the merger of Bayer and Monsanto, is this kind of agro-pharma industrial complex where, we've got one company now that's controlling a major portion of the food supply, how farmers are using herbicides and pesticides and fertilizers and things like this, all the way through to, later in life where people maybe are seeing doctors and getting prescribed these pharmaceuticals. It's sort of a vertical integration market for giving people cancer and then giving people a supposed cure for cancer. Ole, what do you think about that?
Well, you're spot on. That's the way it works. So this is why people like Sarah is so important. that can help us in this jungle of all of these different products and supplements. I mean, there's so much crap out there, but there's also incredible stuff. And I want to just let people know that Ken Roller, which is an incredible human being, if you ask me, with knowledge that is just mind-blowing in so many different areas. He did an interview with Sarah here, and so if he takes you seriously, my God, then I'm listening big time, that I can tell you.
I'm not familiar with Ken.
Oh, you need to become familiar with Ken.
Yeah, let's see if we can get him on the show, because he is amazing, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm very interested in these, air quote, alternative health things, because when I look at somebody like Sarah, you look remarkably healthy. I've spoken a little bit about this type of stuff. As I said, in 2014 I discovered I was mercury toxic, did a bunch of different things to chelate. I got my mercury down from 26 or 29 or something like that down to 9, which the New York State Department of Health considers 5 to 14 to be, quote, normal. But of course, mercury is the most toxic, non-radioactive substance known to man. It's not a nutrient, and no amount of it in the body is helpful at all. People have seen the special segment that I did in Los Angeles called Crowdsource the Tooth, where I took everybody into my dentist's office, Dr. Chester Yokoyama, a very skilled biocompatible dentist who removed all of my mercury dental fillings in about 2014. That was really the start of my detox journey. Sarah, do you have any picture of how you became so heavy metal toxic?
Well, all of my life I've been under the jet path. I live near an airport, and in fact, it's gotten even worse in the last month because they've allowed more planes, and it's gotten louder, and I've noticed a difference in my health just in the last month. Yeah, so there is that. I ate a lot of swordfish growing up. That could be part of it, but I was high in a lot of metals. And the one thing I forgot to tell you is the acceleridine helps chelate you from heavy metals. So it pushes that stuff out. And that's why if you look on the website under directions for how to take it, you start slow, because as you're going to take in iodine, you're going to start kicking out some of these toxins, and you might feel a little worse before you start feeling better. That's why I say start slow and then increase your dosage.
What's the name of that effect? I've heard about that before.
Well, there's a detox flu or the Herx reaction.
Herx reaction. And what about things like the Gerson therapy? And we've heard a lot about coffee enemas and things like that to do heavy metal detox.
Yeah, so the coffee enemas work too. I mean, all of these things are tools to keep in your tool shed. A detox powder, I have a detox powder on my website that's zeolite, which has a negative charge. So one thing to think about is nutrients and things like that are negative charge. Prescription drugs and toxins have positive charge. So in a detox powder, a proper detox powder will have something that includes negative charge, so it soaks up and attracts the positive charged supplement or items in the body and then pulls them out. So this detox powder has zeolite, diatomaceous earth, which is known to detox the body and kill parasites and fungus, psyllium, which is all organic. And it just acts like a sponge and cleanses the whole digestive tract. Triphala is in there, which is an Ayurvedic herb that balances the digestive system and regulates your bowel movements. Slippery elm, which helps create mucilage and makes the stool softer, and helps with people with inflammation or IBS. And activated charcoal, which soaks up the poisons and the toxic chemicals and the heavy metals. So as you're detoxing with the silver and with the acceleridine and nuke no more, it's important also to get those toxins out of the body, because your kidneys and your liver need to filter those things out. And so like you were saying with the chelation and it burdening the kidneys, you use a detox powder or sauna or other sources of pulling that stuff out in different ways to not burden your kidneys and your liver.
Right.
So this is going to soak those toxins up and take them gently through your intestinal tract instead of through your liver and your kidneys.
Right. And people are still giving us some comments that they're having an issue with that code. I apologize, everyone. We're just having a little problem with the discount code. We will sort it out right after the show. But Sarah's website is acceleratedhealthproducts.com, and everything that we're talking about is available on there. What you're watching right now is a special Memorial Day episode of Light On Conspiracies with Ole Dammegard. Our special guest today is Sarah Banta, and people can become sponsors of the show and watch Light On Conspiracies every week on Mondays at 11 a.m. Eastern on patreon.com/lightonconspiracies, patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, and subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth. We've got just about 10 minutes left, Ole. I think a lot of people are curious to hear about your journey to health. I know you're very into yoga and certain form of yoga. Anything you can add here?
My journey into health is named Kim. She's taking care of me. She's pumping me with stuff that I don't even know what it is.
Well, you know, people maybe haven't met Kim, but she also looks remarkably healthy and substantially younger than she actually is.
Well, I don't know. Gratitude is a key in that. I think the more grateful you are, the more you empower yourself, the happier your body is as well. But I want to point out also that it's interesting because we are in a time where everything is upside down. I think most people can see that by now. And also that the things that are really good for us, the dark ones or whatever you want to call them, is trying to shut it down. They're trying to ban it. They're trying to witchify it. I don't know if that's a word, but sort of that everything that is good for, I mean, in certain areas, I've heard suggestion they wanted to ban vitamins and stuff like that. I mean, that is pure death to us. So it's interesting what they try to ban, colloidal silver, for instance, in many countries, and it's like they're not allowed to use it and stuff. To just see what is that they're trying to ban, and then see all the health benefits. I can't speak today. But I mean, they've tried cinnamon recently, they tried all of these. And then when you look from an Ayurvedic point of view, they are amazing, absolutely incredible stuff. So just because it's banned, don't take that as the truth. Instead, take it as a recommendation to look into what they're trying to ban. Because it's the pharmaceutical industry that is there to make billions out of our disease that are trying to ban it, because it is the real cure. So everything they ban, I say thank you so very much, kind of you, that I didn't even know about that one. I'm going to check it out because now you pointed to it. So it's a matter of how to play this game and turn it around, and then also look for people like Sarah who have done. I mean, you're like a human lab rat. You tested it on yourself, and you found out this works. This does not work. Save yourself some pain. Try this one and just see if it works for you. Then go for it. If it doesn't, go for something else. But so I think it's amazing what you're doing, and that you're sharing this knowledge and also your experiences with you and your children and so on, because hopefully it can spread out then and help others in similar situations.
Absolutely. We've got Arc Vault with us in the comments asking if you have any recommendations for dementia. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, even medical doctors have associated dementia with aluminum and calcification of certain components of the brain. Yeah. Okay.
Before anyone else say something, I would like to have a word. There is an oil. It's called, and I don't have any. It's not beneficial for me to mention it at all, but it's called Dr. Udo's oil. UDO oil. It's different amino acids, but I tell you, without that one, we call it Olef's brain glue. Without that one, here's a veggie. No, it's scary. For me, it's scary. Without these ones, my brain goes into shutdown mode. I cannot remember, my short-term memory out the window. Kim says something to me. I said, yeah, yes, darling. I turn around. I totally forgot that we even spoke. Scary. So with that one, that has helped me incredibly with my short-term memory. That I can really recommend.
So there's a reason that works so well, is that, we didn't even touch on the ketogenic diet and my keto bundle on my website, but there's been dementia and Alzheimer's is now called the type 3 diabetes, and it's caused by insulin resistance. And I know we're short on time, but if anyone has questions about this, there's tons of information on my website about it, and on my YouTube, I've done some videos on it. But essentially, when you become insulin resistant and you've had sugar and carbs all your life, your brain stops, says, I give up. I can't use this glucose anymore as fuel. So your brain stops accepting glucose for energy, and then the cells starve and they die. And then what happens is, if you start feeding that brain ketones, which come from fats, just like the oil that you're taking, that oil is turned into ketones, and those ketones is like a whole new fuel for the brain. And the cells say, oh my gosh, now I've got some new fuel. Let's not only just keep the cells that are alive, but let's regenerate more cells. So you can actually reverse Alzheimer's and dementia with a ketogenic diet. And what I've put together on my website is a keto supplement that you take, and it puts your body into ketosis within 30 minutes. Whoa. So normally, if you were on a ketogenic diet and you switch from the standard diet, it would take maybe 2 to 3 weeks for you to switch over to ketosis, and then you would have a couple weeks of just feeling awful and no energy, because you're essentially switching from a gas guzzling Suburban to the Tesla on electricity, right? So you're switching fuel systems, but as you're switching, your body's going to have to go through that slow period where this supplement will actually cause you to just flip right into ketosis. Then you follow that with a low carb, higher fat, moderate protein diet, and you stay in ketosis. And mentally, oh my gosh, I mean, between the silver, my gold, and staying in ketosis, and intermittent fasting, which means that you don't eat, or you squeeze your eating window within 6 hours or so, and some people even 4 hours a day. That gives you all of this amazing brain energy, because your body's not worried about digestion or doing anything like that. And then the other benefits are, you are reducing inflammation throughout the body. You are increasing mental energy and physical energy. We talked about my son being at the rowing training camp. He's in ketosis. He's on a ketogenic diet, and he's doing everything that we're talking about. So here you've got a kid that's 16, and we're also talking about people in their 60s and 70s trying to not go down the road of Alzheimer's or dementia. Same benefit. Reduces arthritic pain. It kills cancer. If you came to me and you said, I've got cancer, of course I'm going to put you on some of the supplements we've already talked about. But I would actually tell you to make sure you're in ketosis and fast. Fast for 5 days. When you're in a fasted state, your body goes through something called autophagy. It kills off the cancer cells, and it cleans it up, and it regenerates the good cells. And then with the iodine, that does the same thing. And then you're also creating an environment where your body is just going like Pac-Man and eating up all the bad stuff and regenerating the good tissues. So those are things. Oh, and diabetes. I mean, you can cure diabetes, type 2 diabetes, within 1 to 2 months with a ketogenic diet and these supplements.
Wow.
It's a no-brainer.
I'm very interested, Sarah. Have you tried to team up with an MD or anybody like that? Because I think a lot of these, solutions, a lot of these alternative cures might get more attention from the public if there was some more traditional medical science backing up some of these claims.
So the problem is there's big pharma has no motivation to have my stuff sell, right? So did I lose you?
No, we're still here.
Oh, okay. So with that, I am teaming up with one integrative doctor, and I'm on her advisory board for a cancer foundation. But when I went in originally to a neurologist who's a friend of mine with my dad, because he's afraid he's going down the dementia path and the Alzheimer's path. Mind you, he's not listening to the diet or anything that I'm telling him to do. He wanted to hear it from the white coat. And she essentially said, look, you should cut out your sugar and you should follow a ketogenic diet. I can't tell you to take this supplement or not because it has not been through clinical studies. And it won't ever be put through clinical studies because there's no motivation for any medical board or doctor or big pharma to do so. There's no money in it.
Why wouldn't Pfizer or somebody just come out with a product like one of these?
They could, maybe, but it's already out there. I mean, the market is saturated with these types of supplements, whether they're junk or not junk. And so, there's really no money in it. Yeah. It's unfortunate.
Right.
So
it really is.
But also the money is in sick people, not in healthy people.
Right.
Exactly.
Treating it, not curing it. We've heard that many, many times. Guys, we're just about out of time. I definitely want to thank Sarah Banta for joining us today on this special episode of Light On Conspiracies with Ole Dammegard. People can visit Sarah's website and learn more about all of these products, acceleratedhealthproducts.com. I'm certainly very interested in everything that you're talking about here, Sarah, and I think people should check these products out. Ole, everybody can see you and I normally on Mondays at 11 a.m. Eastern here on patreon.com/lightonconspiracies, patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, and subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth. I hope that people will go to those websites and sponsor the show. Normally, we really can't bring you this kind of information on YouTube. People are already in the comments warning Sarah not to use the word cure. We aren't representing that these supplements can or will cure anything. Sarah has been sharing some anecdotal reports of responses that her and her family and people that she knows got with some of these supplements. Of course, it's going to be different for everyone. And as she pointed out, these have not been tested and have not been approved as cures for anything. But it's interesting to see how some of these ancient herbs and some of these ancient Ayurvedic techniques can be applied in your life today. Ole, Sarah, thank you both so much for joining me today. Was there anything else you wanted to say before we wrap it up on this Memorial Day weekend?
I would very much like to say, listen, folks, we are in a situation, we are being bombarded with Chem Trails. There are GMOs in our food, the poison, the fluorides in the water. We are not in a situation where it's a matter of sitting and quibbling about words, the use of words. We're here trying to find a way out, trying a way to stay healthy while being bombarded. So instead of criticizing, I would say, why not listen to people that have really tried out stuff and see maybe it can help you, me, everyone. I mean, it's a road for all of us to go down. And so if somebody is in the forefront, we just have to applaud them and say, thank you so much for having the courage also to stand up against big pharma and these type of things and find a way for us all, because we're fumbling around in the fog, most of us, trying to find a healthy way, a beautiful way. And so I just want to thank Sarah, and I say I'm so happy that you managed to get the health back to your boy. I mean, fantastic. That is really amazing.
That is. And again, we are being very careful to say that we can't represent that these things are a cure, but in my own life, steering more towards organic food, eliminating, alcohol, fast food, things that are obviously terrible for you, detoxing myself of some of these heavy metals, removing the mercury amalgam fillings from my teeth. All of these things made me personally feel quite a lot better, and definitely the feedback I got from friends and family, particularly people who I hadn't seen for a few years, was the same reaction I had to you, Sarah. We are both, you're younger than I am, but we're both about the same age, and I think a lot of people feel that we look younger than people in our 40s might look. Ole, of course, looks like he should be on the cover of a magazine, and
for what type of magazine?
I don't know, but Sarah, anything you want to say in closing?
I do want to reinforce what you just said. I am just a mom. I'm trying to raise my 3 kids in this world that is changing so quickly. And my passion for helping people is where my heart is. And it's not about saying the wrong word or the right word and getting myself in trouble. Believe me, Western medicine is needed in certain situations. I needed it a couple of years ago when I was in a car accident and I needed stitches. So I respect the work they're doing. I am just trying to help as many people as I can. I'm here to help. And I'm also, if people are on my website and they don't know where to go or what to do or what protocol to use, just send me an email, and I'm happy to help direct you in the right direction. But I am so grateful for you guys and allowing me to speak and share my story and share my word, hoping to reach those that need me, and hopefully those that don't want to hear me don't hear me.
And what is the email address people can reach you on, Sarah?
It's Sarah without an H, so SARA @acceleratedhealthproducts.com.
And of course, the website is acceleratedhealthproducts.com. People can learn more about Sarah by going to her YouTube channel. Just search for Accelerated Health Products or Sarah Banta on YouTube. You're going to get right to her channel. And we can help Sarah out. Click that subscribe button and become a subscriber to her channel. And you can learn a lot more about Accelerated Health Products on YouTube. Subscribe to her channel. And I want to thank Ole and Sarah. I want to wish everybody a fantastic Memorial Day weekend. I hope that everybody enjoys the summer. And now is a great time to detox your body, start eating better, go buy a bikini or something, go to the beach, and really focus on your health. Even if none of this stuff cures anything, if it makes you feel better, then what's wrong with it? So, Sarah, thanks so much for joining us. Ole, great to see you as always. Thanks everybody for watching. Now, I made a little mistake last night. I was pre-recording the episode of Unseen Libya with Jimmy and Joanne Moriarty, which was intended to show tonight, but it was broadcast last night, so people can still get on to patreon.com/lightonconspiracies, patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, patreon.com/Jimmy and Joanne Moriarty. You're going to see the Moriarty episode from last night on there, and I really want to thank all of our generous sponsors. Have a great summer, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you for joining us today. Leave a thumbs up if you've enjoyed this, and please be sure to check the description below for any additional information. Please don't hesitate to leave a comment or ask a question, as I'd love to answer as many of those as I possibly can. If there's a particular topic you'd like to hear more about, please share that in the comments below as well. Thanks again for joining us, and hope to see you again soon.